Hi, welcome to Arkintel. What if I told you that the same cereal from the same brand is completely different depending on where you buy it? One version contains artificial dyes and preservatives that are banned in other countries. The other is safer recipe without those controversial ingredients. Now, here's the part they don't want you to know. Every single day, nearly 60% of the food Americans buy contains some form of additives. And over the past 2 decades, that number has jumped by almost 20%. Meanwhile, in Europe and Canada, many of these same ingredients are either heavily restricted or outright forbidden. So, how is this happening? Why does the United States allow chemicals that other nations refuse to put in their food? And most importantly, how are food companies getting away with it? Let's explore. Decades ago, US lawmakers introduced regulations to protect the public from unsafe food additives. The rule was simple. If a company wanted to introduce a new ingredient, it had to prove it was safe before selling it. At first, the system worked. The FDA had the power to review and reject any additive that posed a potential risk. But then, a loophole was created. It was meant for common ingredients, things like salt, vinegar, and flour, so they wouldn't need unnecessary testing. But food corporations exploited this exemption to bypass oversight entirely. Here's how it works. A company creates a new additive, something that's never been tested by the government. Instead of submitting it for the FDA approval, they hire their own scientists to declare it safe. And just like that, no independent review, no government oversight, the chemical is added to the food supply. Between 2000 and 2021, 756 new food additives entered the US market without formal FDA approval. And during that same period, only one single ingredient went through the full official petition process. Right now, over 1,000 substances have been introduced into American foods without the FDA ever being notified. Some of these additives are outright banned in other countries, but remain legal in the US. Let's take red dye number 3, an artificial coloring that has been used in food since the early 1900s. In 1990, scientists linked it to potential cancer risks, yet it remained in the food supply for 34 more years before the FDA finally banned it in 2024. If the government knew this dye was dangerous, why did it take more than 3 decades to take action? One word: money. The food additive industry is a billion-dollar business, projected to reach $106.8 billion by 2029. Meanwhile, the FDA's Food Safety Division is severely underfunded. Right now, only 17% of the FDA's total budget goes towards food regulation, half of what's allocated for drug safety. And while drug manufacturers pay billions in user fees to help fund FDA oversight, the Food Safety Division gets almost nothing. Just 1% of its budget comes from industry contributions. With so few resources, dangerous additives can linger in the food supply for decades before action is taken. And here's something even worse. When the FDA starts asking questions about an ingredient, companies can withdraw their request at any time and keep selling the product anyway. Between 2015 and 2024, 113 companies did exactly that. They pulled their food additive applications before the FDA could complete its review. Some states have stepped up where the federal government has failed. In 2023, California became the first state to ban 4 harmful food additives. Later, they expanded it to 6 more dyes, forcing major brands to change their recipes nationwide. Now, For the first time in years, there's mounting pressure on Washington to act. The recently elected Health Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., had vowed to aggressively review the chemicals in America's food supply. Let's see if he follows on his promise. But will this be the wake-up call the country needs, or will corporate lobbying continue to stand in the way? I think time will tell. If you think this is just theoretical, think again. In 2022, hundreds of people fell sick after eating a product from Daily Harvest. The culprit? Tara flour, a little-known ingredient that had never been reviewed by the FDA. The company was told by its supplier that Tara flour was grass, but it was never officially tested for safety. It took 2 years for the FDA to finally declare in May of 2024 that Tara flour did not meet the generally recognized as safe GRAS standard. And here's the scary part. It wasn't illegal for the company to use it in the first place. Until the FDA closes the loopholes, consumers are on their own. Here are 3 things you can do right now to avoid harmful food additives. First, check ingredient lists. Many brands offer cleaner versions of the same products. Second, choose whole foods over ultra-processed options. The fewer the ingredients, the better. And third, watch out for artificial colors and preservatives, especially ones banned in other countries. No one should have to be a food detective just to make sure their meals are safe. But until the government steps up, it's up to consumers to protect themselves. So now, the real question is, will America finally wake up? Or will food companies continue to profit off an industry that puts chemicals in your meals without oversight? Do you think US food safety laws need to change? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more investigative content. Hit the like button and share this video, because the more people know, the harder it becomes for the industry to keep hiding the truth.